This is music, and this is February Forgotten. This is a response to a challenge issued back in early February by George from George G's Room of Rock. If you don't know that channel, go and check it out. It's a physical music media collecting themed channel, and George tends to focus on rock and metal, but he does have a very diverse collection of music within those genres, and that's why he always shows cool and interesting stuff in his videos. He's also a CD enthusiast, that's his preferred medium. So if you are a CD head as well, go and check out George G's Room of Rock. If you are a metal fan or a rock fan, check out George G's Room of Rock. If you're all of the above, check out George G's Room of Rock. I'm pretty sure you will like his videos because he puts out some great videos, and I'm sure you'll like his content. So go and check out that channel and subscribe to it. So yeah, back in early February, he issued a challenge, and it was a pretty straightforward one. Every week of February, pick out two albums that, for some reason, you haven't listened to in at least 5 years. Give them some listens throughout the week, and then, move on to the next two albums the next week, and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the month, talk about the albums and, why you picked them, maybe why you picked them up, and do you still like them, whatever, right? And this is a good way to get reacquainted with items in our collections that are maybe tucked away, that are maybe forgotten, that we just tend to overlook, that we maybe don't like, and that's why we don't listen to them. It's a good way to get reacquainted with those items in our collections. I had an extra challenge though, because less than 5 years ago, I decided to listen to my entire collection. So I was worried that maybe I wouldn't find albums that I hadn't listened to in 5 years, but I think I actually managed to do that. I cannot promise though that maybe it's only been 3 years, but it seems like it's been at least 5 years. So what I have done in this video is every week, and I'm shooting this in the first week, Saturday of the first week. But every week, yeah, I'll pick out two albums and I'll listen to them, and then at the end of the week, I'll shoot a video, talk about them, and then I'll stitch everything together into this video you're watching now. So let's move on to week one, which is also this week, but whatever. So in week one, I listened to this one here, Accept Blood of the Nations. I think it's been 5 years since I've listened to this one. And I picked it up maybe not when it came out, but maybe a couple of years later. I did have, because I was sent an electronic promo of it before it came out, because that was when I did reviews and stuff for Metal Music Archives and Heavy Metal DK and some other websites and stuff and web scenes. Uh, but I'm pretty sure I saw a physical copy on CD cheap at a shop called Fona 2000, with kind of the flagship store of a chain of electronics shops. They've gone out of business now, and so I probably found a cheap copy there and I picked it up, and I think it's a great album. It's a really good Accept album. I mean, it sounds like Accept. Yes, you got Mark Tonillo on vocals and not Udo Dirkschneider, but Mark Tonillo, I think, is a great singer, and there's enough of a similarity in his voice to Udo Dirkschneider's voice that he can sing the Dirkschneider songs, and it's not a problem. Uh, this is a great album. It starts out with Beat the Bastards, which I think is a fantastic heavy metal song. The title track, Blood of the Nations, has an awesome riff to it as well. And I also think that the last track, Bucket, Full of Hate, is a great song. No Shelter is another awesome track as well. Uh, yeah, I think all the songs on here are great, and they sound like Accept. They have they kind of accept isms, if you know what I mean. The baritone, backing vocals, the Judas Priest styled riffs, that accept type chorus. It's very hard to describe it if you are an Accept fan. You know what I'm talking about. If you've never heard Accept, check them out because they are a great heavy metal band. I think this is a great album, and I actually like this album better than for sure Death Row. I also like it a little bit better than Objection Overruled. I have not heard Predator, so I don't know if I like this better than Predator, but I think it's a great album. And I'm glad I picked it out to give it a listen because it's awesome. It kicks ass. And I remember back in 2013, I saw Accept live with Mark Tornillo on vocals, and it was at the Copenhagen Festival, and they were great, and he did a great job singing the songs from this one here, and was it Stalingrad, I think, which came out in 11 or 12 or something like that, and the Dirk Schneider stuff as well that they played. I might have picked this one up at some point after Copenhagen. I don't like I said I don't remember, but I think it's a great album. I still enjoy it. Okay, up next, uh, an album by a band from the greatest country on earth, God's own country, the leaders of the free world, Canada. Elbows up. Yeah, Annihilator, Suicide Society. Um, So it's this cool kind of digi. It is technically a digi book. It has the album proper, and then it has an extra disc with a lot of bonus material. I only listened to the core album, and yeah, Annihilator put out some legendary thrash metal albums back in the day. Alice in Hell and Never Neverland, and they've put out a lot of great albums since, and also some not so great albums. I think this one is a fine album. It's not the greatest Annihilator album, in my opinion, but it does have some great songs on it and some great riffs. In particular, My Revenge, I think, is a great just thrash metal song for sure. Creeping Again is another great thrasher. Uh, the One You Serve has some really cool riffing in it that actually kind of takes me back a little bit to Alice in Hell and Never Neverland, so I think that's great. Uh, Break Enter is another great song. It's kind of like a mix of kind of maybe 90s ish traditional heavy metal, if you know what I mean, and thrash metal. There's a little bit of groove metal as well. There's some hard rock on it. The opening track, Suicide Society, is kind of starts out sounding kind of like a maybe slightly southern rock inspired groovy hard rock song, and then you got some thrashy elements later on. So yeah, I do think this is a fine Annihilator album. It's not the greatest album in the world by Annihilator, and maybe that's why I don't listen to it that often. But there are some great songs on it, some great riffs, obviously some fantastic guitar soloing, and there's some nice layered guitar harmonies as well. The vocals are serviceable. I think it's Jeff Waters singing, and he's not a bad singer, but I think they've had better singers in the band, but the vocals are fine. So yeah, I did enjoy listening to this as well. It will maybe it's probably gonna be like 5 years since until I listen to it next time, but I enjoyed listening to it this time around. It's a good album. Week two. So, what have I been listening to this week? All Shall Fall by black metal legends Immortal. And I have to be honest, I don't know what the black metal law says about this album. Are you supposed to dislike it or are you allowed to like it? I don't know. I don't care. What I do know is that I picked this one up around the time when it came out, and I would actually give it a lot of spins and really enjoy it. This is an album I really like. However, it's also an album that doesn't stay with me after I've listened to it. It's not that memorable to me, apart from the title track, but I do like it, and I did enjoy listening to it this time around. I think I gave it 7 listens or something this week. Still didn't stay with me afterwards. But I do think it's a great album, and I do think it is a black metal album. I think it has a lot of black metal aesthetics to it, tremolo picking, blast beats, harsh vocals, that black metal style of riffing as well. But it also has a lot of thrash metal going on, including a lot of palm muted riffs. And I do know there are a lot of people out there who consider this more of a thrash metal album than a black metal album. I think it's a black metal album. It also has a lot of traditional heavy metal going on for it, and maybe even like an kind of a hard rock undercurrent, but I consider it a black metal album. Uh, it's also very melodic and accessible, and I think a lot of the songs, while not memorable to me, apart from the title track, that is very memorable. A lot of the songs, while they're not memorable, are quite catchy. Production is clean and big and epic sounding. But it's an album that I really like. I just don't reach for it that often because it's not that memorable to me, if you know what I mean. But I think it's a great album. I really enjoy it, and I had a blast listening to it this time around as well. So, All Shall Fall by Immortal. The second album is this one here, Stormbringer by Deep Purple. And I don't listen to this album that often because I don't like it that much, if I'm being completely honest. Um, I like the title track. I think that is a great song. Lady Double Dealer, I think that is a pretty good song as well. And The Gypsy. I think those are the great songs from this album. Um, this time around, because I remember this as being a very funky album, but it's not even that funky. Um, I listened to it like 10 times this week. The only song that's kind of funky is You Can't Do It Right. The rest is kind of bluesy to me. And I think the songs individually, the bluesy songs, I think they're fine. I think, listening to them in isolation, I think that's actually a good experience, but the entire album is too tame for me for a Deep Purple album, with that many bluesy songs. I think the guitar work sounds like it's held back. The vocals are great, of course they are, uh, throughout the entire album. And that's why I still have it because there are those 3 songs that I like listening to, and I think the vocals are great. And this has a bunch of bonus tracks, which are Glenn Hughes remixes, and I think the bonus tracks sound pretty good too. So that's why I keep it around. But I think the cover artwork is probably the best part of this album. I still don't like it a whole lot. Those 3 songs, yes, awesome. The vocals, yes, awesome. Uh, the bluesy songs, listening to the whole album, nope. Too laid back, too tame, to be honest, for me. In isolation, because I did try that as an experiment. Okay, I'm just gonna listen to this song, and maybe a little bit later that song, and that was a good experience. But the whole album, no, and that's why I don't listen to it that often because I don't like it that much as a whole album. This might be one of those albums where, you know, you can pick out some songs and put them into a playlist or something. So there you go, Stormbringer. Yeah, it just confirmed to me why I don't listen to it that often. Anyways, that was the second week. Let's see what week 3 has in store. What have I been listening to this week? Firewind Allegiance and Firewind The Premonition. Now, I've had a very busy week, so I haven't been able to spin these albums as many times as I wanted to, but I did manage to give both of them a couple of listens. So I think I'm gonna be okay. So I think it's been more than 5 years since I've listened to these albums, and I think I know exactly why I don't listen to them very often. I have it in my head that they are a power metal band, Firewind, and they are a European power metal band. And I'm just not a big fan of Euro power metal. I think it's too cheesy. Uh, I think it's a little bit too happy. There's nothing wrong with happy music, but I think a lot of European power metal is ridiculously happy, if you know what I mean. It's lost its power. I think the vocals are normally wimpy. It's just my opinion. If you like European power metal and if you like those features, that's great. I'm not trashing you for it. I'm just saying I don't appreciate those features. And since I have it in my head that Firewind, that they are a European power metal band, that's why I don't reach for it very often. In fact, I couldn't even remember what these albums sounded like. So color me positively surprised when I think this was the first one I threw on, and it starts out sounding almost power thrashy. And yes, these are power metal albums, but they're not just power metal albums. They're really like somewhere in between, like modern 2000s traditional heavy metal and then power metal. So you do have some elements of even Euro power metal, but not a lot. You have more like Judas Priest inspired, Iron Maiden inspired, Accept inspired riffs, Dio inspired stuff going on too. And the vocalist doesn't have this wimpy voice at all. He actually has a dark, slightly gruff voice, a little bit in the vein maybe of, I don't remember his name, but the guy from Symphony X, that approach, a little bit of Dio as well. So, yeah, I was actually very, very positively surprised. And I was also reminded why I still have these albums because I don't reach for them very often. I forget what they sound like. Then I go, hey, let me just check out this Firewind album, before I sell it. And I listen to it and I go, what? I'm keeping this. This is great. This is class power metal slash heavy metal, in my opinion. And these are not leaving my collection. That's for sure. So there you go. A bit of a success story, I would say, this week. But I wonder what the last week, week 4, has in store. We will see. Last week. And I thought I was going to go out with a bang, but I'm going to go out with a whimper because I caught some kind of a bug. It was inevitable because a lot of my colleagues have it or have had it, family members too. At least my symptoms seem to be nowhere nearly as bad as pretty much everyone else I know who have or have had this bug, so that's something. I still feel miserable though, but that doesn't mean that we can't finish off this challenge. So that's what we're gonna do. I think it's been at least 5 years with the two albums I'm gonna talk about that I listened to this week, but cannot be 100% certain. The first one is this one here. This is Manila Road, and it's called Spiral Castle. I bought this one a while ago now at a place called Phonet 2000. They have since gone out of business, and I bought it because I had heard that Manila Road were a very important and influential heavy metal band, but I had never heard their music. So when I saw this one here, very cheap, I picked it up. And I know exactly why I don't listen to it very often. It's actually a great album, but the songs are not very catchy. They're not very memorable. They don't really have catchy riffs. They don't really have catchy choruses and things like that. And they're kind of meandering. And I use this term in a neutral sense. That's just the nature of the songs. And you have like long stretches that are not metal even. The last track, Sands of Time, is basically an instrumental prog rock song with a Middle Eastern vibe to it. You have very unique vocals as well.
So it's a great album, but it's just not very memorable, and it means that it's not one of those albums that I reach for very often when I feel like listening to music. But it's really good, actually. And the very last album of this challenge is this one here, MC5, Kick Out the Jams, Motherfucker. A very notorious album here because it is probably the first kind of officially released recording ever where somebody says motherfucker on it. We are talking about a live recording, and we're talking like post 68, 70s, that era. The heavy rock. Uh, it sounds a little bit dated, I would say. The stage banter, some of the more psychedelic elements, and the first track, Ramblin' Rose, starts out with basically the whole song has this very awkward falsetto singing thing going on. Then, of course, you have the title track, which is awesome. And you got Come Together, also an awesome track. Rocket Reducer, Rama Lama Fa Fa Fa, also a great song. And then you got Borderline, so you have like a whole stretch of great songs. And then the energy kind of fizzles out towards the end. The very last track is kind of like a prog rock song called Starship, with a lot of kind of pretentious elements in it, I have to say. But it's still an interesting listen. Uh, so it's a very cool listen for sure. Uh, the live performance is very sloppy. The stage banter is weird, and but it's kind of a product of its time. I don't listen to this one super often because it's one of those albums that I kind of reach for occasionally, knowing that I have to listen to it a whole bunch of times before I get into it, and that's why I don't listen to it that often. But there you go, MC5, Kick Out the Jams, motherfucker. So yeah, that was my response to George G's Room of Rock's February Forgotten challenge. Go and check out his channel, subscribe to it, all that good stuff. For now, thanks for watching.